So, just got done texting Kathy, and, you know, I have some tears for always. Kathy's replying. Let me see what she's saying. It's 1:11 my time here in Arizona. In the afternoon, of course, sun coming in. But it's 10:11 there in California, boys. For sure. I love you, brother. Um, Kathy and I have been having some deep conversations. Your aunt. Some deep conversations go back and forth because I really wish I could speak to my boys today, especially being the 20th anniversary of your grandmother's death. My mama, she passed away 20 years ago. And, Kathy and I were just talking. She sent a message out to me and our two younger sisters. And, that was kind of important because she hasn't spoke to them in a long time. Just over bullshit. And it's bullshit that, well, if you choose to let that bullshit go, doesn't mean the other person has to choose that. But what it means is that person is choosing to allow an anchor to be overcast on their ship, and the anchor is going to slow them down in life, right? It goes for everybody. You can't escape how that works in life. So, what a lot of people end up doing is they put their cells and put their ships in a position to where you don't have to throw an anchor over to hold that ship where it needs to be. You keep that ship on a constant steam, right? Knowing that it's about what happens on the way to that end point. I don't know. Mom's been dead for 20 years. And it's been 5 years, going on 6 years. 6 years, boys. Since you wouldn't spend any time with your father. And I get it. I've had a lot of shit going on around here the last 5 years of the 20 years of mom being dead. I really was sitting here last night and I guess today would be the start of the new year. Today is the new year because the day mom died, 20 years ago, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis 6 months before that. I didn't realize how much the multiple sclerosis would change my life. Then, when the doctor was telling me, hey, you have MS, we have MS, after the testing, the spinal tap, the MRIs, and doing what they did back then. And fast forward 20 years of having multiple sclerosis and mom being dead and having two sons. I love you boys so much. I probably have had this sweatshirt for 20 years. $20 and the last 5 years of that 26 years, my boys and I have become further and further away from each other for no good reason. You tell me why. You tell me why I haven't been part of your life for the last 6 years. You tell me, what is your reason? Why are you being told? Are you being told that your dad doesn't give a shit about you? Your dad doesn't care for you? I had to grow up not so much hearing those things, but experiencing those things. If YouTube would have existed back in that day when that crap was happening to me in the 80s, there's no way in hell my dad would have been leaving messages with tears come with sweatshirts that were 20 years old. He would have had to. My mom would have allowed him to be in our lives if he chose to be, right? And I choose to be in your life. I moved out of California because, well, I've had family in California for a long, long time. That means you have had family in California for a long, long time. My grandmother, your great grandmother, was born and raised in California. And that whole thing, your grandfather and my father, who turned and burned and never cared to even think about leaving a message like this to his son. And I have two of you. I don't want to spend the next 20 years, if I can squeeze them out, not having a relationship with my sons. Because the last 3 years of my father's life, he was pissed off because he has some earworm whisperer in his ear. And I couldn't even. The shield that you put up around him, touche. Because what an iron dome. And I feel the same iron dome is being put up around you boys. Do I post this video directly with no edit? Because I can't edit it anyways right now. Mom, I miss you, and I thank you for allowing me to have the life. But I thank you even more for showing me that life is more than material objects, right? And even though we feel that your span, you live to 48 years old. I'm 47. What would I do if I found out I only had 1 year to live? I would hope my sons would call me. I would hope I'd be able to embrace my sons. For starters, let's start there. But imagine going at 48. Ben Bradley, your mother is older than 48, right? I know everybody in my life is pushing over 48 in a sense. Not speaking to Dad for the last 3 years and him doing what he did, being sick. And I tried what I could, and it just pissed him off, and it gave him an excuse to follow the narrative that he was being told. And Kathy and I, with the direction of our mother from 20 years ago and what she showed us through life, if that person wants to speak that narrative to that person, my father wants to speak that narrative, and things happen the way they do, well, that's your dream, right? I watched Dave Chappelle last night. It was new to me, The Dreamer, and I think about the dreamer. That's what I am. I'm a dreamer. You boys are dreamers. I feel confident of that. And it's been a shitty part of our dream. But at the same time, there has been valuable lessons, and I hope that you boys have been able to pick up on those. I know that our paths will cross and will continue to be, well, together one day. I want you to know that 48 years, 47 years, 16 years, 12 years, super short time in the grand scheme of things, right? Live the life that we have now the best you can. That's what my mom taught us. Live that life the best you can. And with what that direction that she pushed not only me in, but all my sisters, and God bless them, some of them were pretty young when she went. We can't control how old we are sometimes when these lessons in life are being thrown at us. That's part of the dream that we're having. I thought the message that Dave Chappelle spoke in that show that I watched last night, The Dreamer, I can't even think his special, I'm calling it. But this, he was there in DC where he started. And he started 20 years ago. And I'm thinking about what happened 20 years ago and just how slow 20 years can seem when you're inside of it, but how fast it feels when you're at the finish line of 20 years. So I say this to my sons, and I've said it before, and you know what? Saying that, maybe it's made it easier for people to want to grab certain things, worldly things. And I think about all the emotional things that I shared with my father that have been robbed because of a bad narrative that he believed because, well, he was looking for something to believe in his whole life. His whole life. As long as I knew my father, that's what I would judge him up and say that he was constantly looking for something. So at the end of his life, in 5 years, 6 years maybe, that's a very short time, right? In the grand scheme of things in lives. And not only living this life, but the possibility of living another life and living another life until you get it right. What if you live everybody you see out there is a version of you in a different moment who has to live a different life. But maybe we all have to do that at some point. It, deep waters. It's deep waters here. I really wish I could speak to you boys and just have lunch and spend a day with my sons on the 20th anniversary of your grandmother moving on to her next life. But I can tell you this, your grandmother's energy is strong, and that energy runs in you, and I hope you experience that strength on a daily basis. On a daily basis. Because I do. I really hope that you boys and I are able to catch up soon. Because I really feel that should happen. I don't know, I'm almost to the point where if I had 100,000 in the bank, I probably would piss away $20,000 in the Orange County court system to see you boys, right? Because that's the way your mother is going to have it. I don't know. I feel that that money is a better investment for maybe some sort of financial future for you boys, right? Because I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in the US dollar. I don't know. I really, that's a conversation that I wish you boys could be around. I love you. You should call your dad. Today is your grandmother's 20th anniversary of her death. So, in a sense, it's kind of morbid, but it's a day to be celebrated because, like Kathy said in her text, and one of her texts to me today, is that our mom seems, it doesn't seem like, but it does seem like our mom is able to spend more time with us now than what she did before she was dead, right? Because I'm not the only person that experiences what I do. We got Kathy. I know my sister my other sister A. I don't talk to my sister T. She doesn't want to speak to me. That's fine. That kind of negativity I don't need with the MS and where I am in my dream. I love you boys. Call me.